Hello, friends, and welcome once again to a QCG one-shot, a single-serving tabletop adventure. I'm Aaron. I'll be your storyteller today, and I am joined by QCG's very own V.
Hi.
Assistant Mischief Maker Zoe.
Hello.
Joining us from Nat 20 Productions, it's PJ.
Good to see you.
And all the way from our good friends at Barnes & Brews, that is Krissy.
How's it going?
On this week's episode, we'll be playing His Last Hope, a tale of lost friendships and tortured choices for Kult Divinity Lost, written by Magnus Sater. As always, you can find the scenario and assorted social media links in the show notes below. Now, before we get started, this is an adult horror scenario and contains themes that some viewers might find disturbing, including abuse, violence against children, bullying, repressed memories, trauma, and past helplessness. You can find content warnings in chat with !safety or in the episode description on YouTube. Our cast has reviewed all our available safety tools and completed a safety check-in before beginning recording today, but we want to make sure that you all out there take care of yourself too. Now, with that said, let me tell you a story. Our tale begins on Saturday evening. The skies are dark and rain sweeps through the city, a proper Pacific Northwest drain. It's not a friendly, warm rain. It's the kind that sticks to your skin, sinks into your clothes, and chills you down to the bone. Your destination today is a cafe in the basement of a reclaimed industrial building. The facade hasn't been quite touched up yet. The neighborhood wants to gentrify, but hasn't. So as you descend the rusty iron staircase past the cracked brick, stepping across the pavement where weeds still struggle against modernity to reach the sky, you get a profound sense of decaying darkness. The only light visible in the foggy sky is the cafe's neon sign, blinking, flickering. When the door opens, a small bell jingles. Now, each of you has been summoned here separately this evening. You do not know who will be arriving. I don't know who will be arriving and when. So what I'd like you all to do, can we start by rolling 1d100, and we'll see who shows up first.
I got a 98.
Someone's going last.
Yep.
99 on my end.
Take it back. Just kidding.
I got a 20.
And Krissy?
69.
Nice.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go.
Well, it sounds to me then, PJ, you'll be going first. So tell us what's going on as you approach this building, as you step inside, and tell us who you're playing today.
So as I step inside this building, Ralph maybe an early 30-something, late 20-something-year-old, wearing a button-up shirt coming from their job as a sort of tech assistant. I walk in with a phone in one hand and a tablet covered up in the other, and I seem more concerned about what's on both of these devices than literally anyone else in this room. With great focus, I take a seat, I flip open the iPad, and I start scrolling, just waiting. Almost like I'm not even there. I'm just a ghost of technology.
Well, you're not there, and neither is anybody else, aside from the 40-something woman. Brown, graying hair falling in curls down to her shoulders. Aside from her, sitting behind the counter, nobody else is present in this cafe. And as you set your laptop down, I imagine there's a small amount of irritation as you realize no matter which way you bend the table, one of the legs is too short. It wobbles. And even the chair that you sit in has that squeak that borders on antique or could fall apart at any minute. Are you going to order a drink?
I order a root beer float with a scoop of chocolate ice cream, knowing full well this is going to have a terrible chemical reaction and it will be very hard and difficult for them to make. This is me trolling them, but at the same time, I want the milkshake. So I order that, and as I leave, I just say under my breath, cursed, so cursed.
The woman behind the counter is shocked in so many ways, and it's one of those situations where she starts by saying, I don't think I have the stuff to make that, trying to politely get you to order something else. I'm guessing that only drives you further towards your decision.
Yeah, I recommend then using chocolate syrup with the vanilla ice cream first and then putting in the root beer.
It's the age of Yelp. One bad review could sink this place, so she really doesn't want to, but there's nobody here. Obviously, business isn't that good. So, congratulations, my guy. You got one over this poor minimum wage servant to society. Well done.
Opening up my phone, I open up an app, and in this long seated thread on a forum, I start telling this story of what minuscule chaos I've sown in this person's life, laughing to myself the whole way. But that's all on the inside. On the outside, I'm just staring at a screen, just sipping this root beer float, making a small grimace because that syrup was definitely not well mixed in.
It's like they say, you get what you pay for. Next on the scene, Krissy, who are you arriving as? And what's going through your mind when you realize the only person here is Ralph?
Harlow walks in. I very much look like someone who subsists solely on alcohol. And my hands are actually kind of busted up, bruised. My knuckles look like they have been busted by something fairly recently. There's even maybe some dry blood on my hands. And I'm wearing clothes that don't quite seem to fit me right. My jeans are tight, but my shirts are a little on the baggy side, and I've got a lot of 5 necklaces just hanging off my neck. And my eyeliner and mascara look like they were put on 3 days ago. And whenever I first walk in, I don't quite notice Ralph. I immediately go to the counter and can I just get a black coffee, please?
Oh yeah, you want that small or large?
Large would be great.
Mm-hmm. Room for milk, sugar?
And yeah, room for something. Oh, yeah.
Room for something. She gives you a wink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as she's making that for you, making a bit of a strong euphemism in this context, she reminds you about the letter that you have in your pocket. You have all received this note over the last 4 5 days. In fact, that's why you're here tonight. It said, "Gather forth, brave adventurers. It was so many years ago that the angels roamed the woods behind our school. Even though we have drifted apart over the years, I implore you to meet me at the Underground Cafe on Saturday at 7:30. I need you to take up arms with me and slay the dragon that dwells in the crow's nest." Now, the angels, that is the group of friends you once belonged to, back in years past when your friendship circle was determined more by whose house you could reach on a bicycle than who shared hobbies with you, or who was on your Twitter follows, who was in your Instagram mentions. That was a long time ago. On the other hand, not all those memories are bad. You were the angels, a gang, insofar as any group of barely teenage kids can be called a gang, closely knit, and brought up together by your status as outcasts and freaks. You don't know which one of you sent this letter, but you do remember childhood summers playing Dungeons and Dragons and the abandoned house called the Crow's Nest that you once explored. So given this context, Harlow, when you get your coffee with room for something extra, and you finally scan the room, your eyes having only one person to land upon, I have two questions. One, do you recognize Ralph? And two, what do you say when you do?
I think I would. I mean, my memory's obviously not great from copious amounts of drug use over the years, but there's some people that you just don't forget, and your best friends or friend group growing up are those people. So as I have my coffee in hand and I'm pulling a flask out of my back pocket to top it off with a little something, I walk over and slide the note that's in my back pocket across the table, or was in my back pocket. Well, did you send this? This seems like nerdy enough to be something you would do.
I stop looking at my phone for a second. I put it in rest mode and I turn it around and I put it face down on the counter. And then without looking at it, I sip my root beer float and say, "No, this just could have been an email."
Oh. Interesting. Good to see you haven't changed too much.
Yeah, sometimes it's good when things don't change. Sometimes you need to know that people can be reliable.
She just takes a rather large swig of my coffee. Have you heard from anybody else? Sorry.
No, by all means.
Have you heard from any of the others?
I talk to Gabrielle on occasion, but nothing very in depth. Try to avoid Michael, except while I can be polite. So beyond whatever attempt this is, nothing substantial.
Any idea whose idea this was? I mean, the nostalgia hits hard and all, but...
That is the one unfortunate problem with this being analog as opposed to digital. Normally on business hours, I would just backtrack this or something, but I can't backtrack paper, so I have no idea.
A simple no would have sufficed, but good to know.
Yeah, my doctor's been telling me I need to work on my oversharing, but quite frankly, I think I deserve to overshare a little bit.
Yeah.
As that conversation continues, a third face joins the room. Gabrielle, what shoes are you wearing?
Combat boots. Same as I
Excellent.
always do.
So you won't have any problems with the now rain-slick metal staircase. No danger facing you as you open the door and the bell jingles and you see Two familiar faces and an increasingly concerned looking clerk. Do you recognize these people?
Yeah, I do. Ralph, he's one of the only ones that I really kept in contact with over the years. Kind of had a weird close friend thing, and Harlow, well, I don't want to talk about Harlow, but yes. Yeah. Yes, I definitely do. And it's actually put me at ease to not see Michael or Thomas here. To be honest, they're not my favorite of the bunch, so I'm happy that I get a little bit of time to spend with these two. So as I walk over, I just flag down the clerk and say, just water, please. And I take a seat.
Ralph? Harlow? You remember Gabrielle, right?
Long time no see.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been. It's you look good.
So do you. Well, I was gonna offer you some of this, but I don't think it would taste very good in water. So I just kind of put the flask back down on the table.
As for me, what alcohol is in that flask?
Actually, that's just Bailey's. Just something that tasted good in coffee. She knew she was coming here. She generally keeps either rum or whiskey in there, kind of depending on the day and her mood. You know.
Ralph, it seems the two ladies are having a certain kind of reunion. Are you just watching that? What's your comfort level right now?
I am definitely watching, definitely assessing and observing and making mental notes. And then there's a moment where like the ding happens and I go, I understand what's happening here. Okay. But with that just being said, Ralph just gets out of his chair and says, hi, Gabrielle. It's a pleasure to see you again. It's been a while, old friend.
Ralph, hi. I know it's been a bit since we talked, but I'm sorry I haven't reached out lately. I've been really busy touring with the band, but I'm really happy that we got to meet up again.
Yeah. Nine stops. Yeah, nine stops on your tour. Some great local places. Yeah, I've been following online. I heard all the reviews were really great, and I was looking at your files. It sounds really good too.
Have you come to any of the shows? I mean, if you have, you haven't said anything to me, but.
Well, that's why I download the music because that's not my scene,
Oh, sure, of course. Well, you're always welcome. If you want to come, I'll hook you up. I can get you backstage always. So.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think it's time to take my anxiety meds. That sounds great. I would like to do that.
Okay, great. Do you need some water for those meds of yours?
Are we doing that tonight?
I mean, we could. I guess it depends on how long this whole thing takes. But
yeah, sure. I'll tell you what. I have some in my car, and I'll get them in a bit. I guess I'll probably have to see what's happening here first, and then I'll take them.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, as the water arrives and Ralph starts scrambling through his head to remember exactly where those medications are, because if this is real, then he doesn't want to spend any second longer scrambling through his car. There is a fourth figure who arrives. Michael, what went through your head when you got this letter?
It's a fucking joke is what it was. But I'm still curious. If it is indeed my friends from all those years ago, it's worth a call. Like, it's worth showing up, seeing how they've been.
So, scale from 1 to 10, irritated, angry meter, where are you sitting as you descend that staircase and march on inside?
Irritated. That seems to be my default, but a little more notice, a little less cryptic. Like, tell it to me straight, man. You don't need to play these stupid games.
Who do you think sent it?
Off the top of my head, seems like something Gabby would do. Or maybe even Thomas. Thomas is a little fuck.
Yeah, I've heard that about him. Well, Gabrielle, Harlow, Ralph, you're having varying degrees of an awkward and interesting conversation when the door thunders open. Michael, I'm assuming you're the kind of person who likes to take up a little bit of space when you enter a room.
Oh god, yeah. I'm as tall as I am big. I'm wearing this big leather jacket. Underneath my shirt is tight to show off like just how ripped I've become over the years. I make no effort of hiding it. My nose is broken in several places. I look like I go day to day in a fight with whomever I freaking feel like sizing up against.
Snap reactions, kids. Michael walks in. What's the first 1 to 5 words that goes through your head when you see him?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, look, the walking 5-finger death punch song just came to life.
Harlow looks visibly uncomfortable. I don't think I have a specific thought in my head, though, except just immediate, like, shifting and crossing of my arms.
Doesn't seem like a good vibe in this room, Michael. So how do you approach this table?
They can stare right now. I'm getting my coffee. And
Make them wait.
Yeah, they can wait. They can mull it over. I'll give them my look, turn away, get my drink, pull up a chair once I got it. They're gonna have to deal with me. And I just kind of glare them all down and go, so where's Thomas?
Well, maybe they're just late.
He did always seem to like to make an entrance, as you, apparently, Michael.
It's
an inconvenience. I don't like being inconvenienced.
Yeah, you never did you?
Nah.
It's good to see you again, too, Michael. I probably have a hard time looking Michael in the eye for too long. Like, I definitely attempt it, but it lasts for maybe a split second before I'm looking away again.
When Harlow addresses me, I do actually soften a little bit. Yeah, nice to see you again, Harlow.
It's a little awkward. But small talk is small talk, right? This is how, high school reunions, college reunions are supposed to go, right? And as you banter that back and forth, I want to play a little bit of a game. I want to know what about you has changed since your years of childhood friendship, but I'm not going to ask you that question. So, Michael, what's changed the most about Ralph since you remember him?
I don't know. He still looks weak. Like I could fold him in half if I really wanted to. What's different about him? Seems to carry himself more like a man now. Even just a little bit, you know? A little bit of respect.
I mean, when you start that low, a little bit of improvement makes a very staggering difference, right?
I mean, from what I understand about men, they, always making that testosterone, always making that muscle. Oh, we pumped, right? he can't help it. He'll get more manly over time, regardless of his efforts.
Until he runs out of time, anyway. Gabrielle, what has changed the most about Michael?
I mean, at first glance, the missing lip ring is kind of a big one. He got this lip ring when he was a kid, and we all thought he was crazy. Like, not like, to be clear, not from like a piercer, right? Like, this was like, I honestly, okay, it was Harlow. She did that thing with the ice cube and the needle, and just like straight through. And Michael thought it was so cool, and I could not help but give him shit for it. I don't think he appreciated that much, but the missing lip ring is a big thing for me. But weirdly, he also seems to have his temper a little more under control, at least on first glance.
For the moment.
For the moment.
And that leaves one person left. Harlow, what has changed the most about Gabrielle? And remember, your parents might be watching this.
I like to think she was always very bold and confident, but somehow now even more so. Stands a little straighter, is a little more proud of herself, more established as a person, and also leaning a little bit more into femininity. I feel like, wears better fitting clothes, shows off a little more, and in less of a, girly way, more in a I'm hot and I know it way. And yeah.
I think I made a mistake. We haven't asked you, Ralph, have we? No. So Ralph, I believe it's Harlow who we have yet to hear from. Ralph, how has Harlow changed since last you saw her?
Since last I saw her, there has definitely been an increase in substance use, which has caused some sort of deterioration in what was, I guess, the rougher of the 4 or 5 of us. But it just seems that it's just gotten rougher from there. I believe I saw in a movie once this woman who basically lived her entire life by punk rock music ways, and that definitely takes a toll on you. And Harlow looks like a punk rock song that's been sung in a smoky blues club without any charisma.
No charisma at all, huh?
Just a life of cigarettes and booze and music and screaming and fighting.
So
encapsulated.
Sounds like Tom Waits plus Michael.
Yeah, but whereas Michael is definitely angry, and from his anger he's compensating, I think, Harlow just seems to kind of, I don't know, maybe it's pain, but she's just living that vibe,
Millennials, am I right?
Yeah, clearly, with the economy hellscape that we're in, how could we not?
I'm sure you have lots of questions about the way that people have grown up, what they've been up to, but one question before everybody's mind is who sent the letter? Michael? Wasn't you?
Nah, I wouldn't send something so stupid.
We've established it wasn't Ralph because it was typed out on actual paper and not in the cosmos of the internet. There's no, makeup smudge on it, so it can't be Gabrielle, and it doesn't reek of booze, which rules out Harlow. So where the fuck did it come from?
Thomas always was a little nerd.
I mean, in fairness, we all were.
He had a good flair for the thematic and the dramatic.
I mean, he was always the one that kind of came up with the stuff that we were all gonna do. So I guess we all probably should have seen that coming, huh?
Bossy little shit.
Definitely good for my, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
I mean, D&D was kind of his idea, right?
I
I
haven't
think
thought
that's
about
a good
those
one.
kid games in freaking forever.
Well, from the sound of it, you're about to break that streak here, Michael.
If we're gathering to play D&D tonight, I'm walking the fuck out.
Did you read the letter?
Yeah, but it was... I don't know. I didn't assume that was gonna happen. I figured it was just like a reunion of sorts, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, playing D&D kind of would be, you know. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen you all, and it's weirdly nice.
Harlow, is everything okay? I mean, yeah, I can tell things might be a little rough, but are you doing okay?
I'm fantastic.
Is that
Basically,
Harlow or
Scarlet,
the Irish cream speaking?
It's absolutely the Irish cream speaking.
You were saying, Ralph?
Okay, Harlow, I just wanted to check in. Hope you're doing okay. You know, just having a good evening, good even time, and I know things have been rough, so, you know, if there's anything we can do as friends to make sure things are a little easier, you know, please don't hesitate to ask.
Well, we could be nice to Thomas when he gets here. That would be great. I think
Fuck! Fine.
I know
Nice
that's a
to Thomas.
struggle. He was
Well,
a
there
good
is-
kid.
There is someone else who has yet to arrive, but it is not Thomas. As you have these conversations and you start to run out of those easy small talk questions. Oh, you know, what have you been doing? Where do you work now? And it starts to get to that pause where you have to decide whether you want to start talking about friend stuff or just let the conversation die out. There's another jingle at the door. Whatever you expect Thomas might look like after all these years, the figure that comes inside is decidedly not him. It's an emaciated man with skin hanging off his bones and a very hard-worn life kind of look. Hair patchy that in places there are scars across the scalp. And even down his beard, patchy, mangy, little bits of organic detritus occupying it. And his clothes are raggy, and even before he gets that close to you, you know what the smell is going to be when he arrives. And all of that just soaked to the bone by the rain outside. His eyes scour the area, a little animalistic, the way that, you know, when your cat first enters the room and is making sure everything's okay. Has that kind of tension about him. And he approaches the table. He pulls out a Ziploc baggie from his pocket, which contains a crumpled piece of paper, as best you can tell. And he just reaches up, slams it down, jostling all of your drinks, maybe threatening to knock something off the table by the wobbling, and then turns to walk away.
Excuse me.
He's not going to respond to you unless you physically stop him, which is fine if you're curious, but words alone are not going to stop him from leaving the room.
What?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to ask what he slammed on the table.
That is like a Ziploc baggie, the kind that you'd put like a sandwich in if you were going on a hike or for a picnic. And then inside of it is a crumpled up piece of paper, like A4 notebook paper.
If this guy had lingered any longer, I would have stood up and done the whole sizing him up thing, make him back down, because he's obviously like disturbed what we were doing, even if what we were doing wasn't much. but he turns tail quick enough, and I'm not exactly compelled to chase him out the door.
Can I open the bag to see what the paper is?
Of course. You reach inside, peel the bag open. It's always satisfying when you get that little pop feeling the first time you get the little Ziploc hinge to open. And you unfold the paper, and there's another note written on it. In the same typeface as the one that you received personally in the mail. It says, "We angels swore to always be together and stand up for one another. I was always there for you whenever you needed me, protected you from bullies, helped you with your homework, drew art for the games we played. But did you help me? Did you care? No, you let me tag along, but you were never there for me. No one was. You left me to deal with all the horrors myself. Well, I can't go on alone any longer. Now is the time when I need your help. So I call on you, my friends, my angels. Meet me at the crow's nest tonight. I have become the sad soul in need of a brave band of adventurers to save me. So please, save me. Thomas."
What the fuck?
I thought I was always there for him, but I guess not enough.
He needed help. Why didn't he just send me a message or an email or a text? I'm always online.
He's messing with us is what it is. He's just jerking our chains. He could have come to me if he needed something. He could have come to any of us.
Could
Maybe
he have?
didn't trust you.
What?
Can you blame him?
Are you saying I'm not trustworthy? Is that what you're saying, Ralph?
Look, sometimes you trust a cat to pet, but you don't trust a tiger as a cat. I'm just saying, like, I'm mixing my metaphors. Sometimes you're just one wrong word away from a fight, and maybe he didn't feel safe around that, Michael.
How many kids pestered you and I showed them what was for? I beat the crap out of them for you, for Harlow, for Gabrielle. I
Michael,
protected us.
You friggin' Giga Chad, you've always been the strongest physically. You've always been able to beat us all up. And honestly, you always reminded me that you could. At least I felt that way. And maybe Tom felt the same.
Damn right on the Giga Chad.
It's not well, it depends on where you're. It's not a compliment.
Well, then fuck you. Oh, sorry.
That's perfect. I love that. Gabrielle, as Harlow's reading the letter, I'm guessing she didn't see what was underneath it. It's not the only thing in the bag.
I reach for the bag. Take out whatever else is inside.
You don't even have to take it out because you can see the contents from the outside. I'm sure you will handle it once you realize what it is, because that's a Polaroid picture of you and Michael and Harlow and Ralph and Thomas together in 1999 outside the crow's nest, the one triumphant summer of your childhood. The one where everything came together and cemented you as the friends that you are now.
Guys, can we just stop fighting for just a second, please? Please?
Yeah, I'll bring it down a couple notches.
What's wrong?
I just tap the Polaroid in my hand a few times before just tossing it on the table so everybody can see it. It's this. That's why we're here.
As each of you look at the photo, it calls to mind a memory. Maybe not the same memory. But as I said, this is the summer that defined you as friends. In the way that everyone you met in high school, you, the players, you can reach back into your brain and find that one person or that one thing. There's the one story that you could tell that explained why your bestie was your bestie, why your worstie was your worstie. If that's not a real thing, I think it should be starting now. It's the story of your first crush. It's the story of the first test you failed. It is an acute moment, frozen in time, that you will always have in your brain. That's what this picture is. And as you get lost in that, you're not inside the cafe anymore. And the temperature in the room slowly rises. The dark, dreary cold of outside gives way to a midsummer's day. And you're standing on a forest path, the five of you as your 11, 12, 13-year-old selves in 1999. You can feel the temperature in the room slowly rising, that wet winter cold giving way to the heat of a late summer, and the darkness of the clouds and the fog give way to that bright sun trickling down through the leaves, through the canopy of this well-forested area. There are five of you here. Of course, Ralph, Harlow, Gabrielle, Michael, and also Thomas. You're 12 years old. These are the last days of summer vacation. And you know what? This summer's been warm. It's been good. You've been on so many adventures. You've gotten into just the right amount of trouble. But today feels a little bit different. Michael, where has the group chosen today for its summertime adventure?
There's this park. It's a little ways away from our school. It's always kind of got this like eerie vibe. It's kind of a heavily wooded area. There's these monkey bars that are sort of, they installed them new a couple years back, but they still kind of look old and drab. Like, it's not that kids have been using them a lot. It's just, I don't know, the passage of times, things don't seem to always stay as nice and pristine as they should.
Climate here will do that to it. And then Harlow, what was the plan today? You've had your morning adventure, you had time for lunch, now it's time for the afternoon adventure. What's the gang getting into?
I think we all wanted to take the D&D game a little more, make it a little more adventurous. So Thomas and I had actually put together these cardboard swords and got some toilet paper rolls to make a staff for Thomas, our resident wizard, and we were gonna do some LARPing, you know. Just he was so enthusiastic about it, and I wanted to do something nice for him, so I just helped him make some stuff, and yeah.
Well, if Thomas is the wizard, that of course means Ralph has to be the GM, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're the only one who has the nerdy credential for that, am I right?
Yeah, I've been studying all the rules, and I find that my memory is very good. So I'm the one running the game because I'm the one that can keep track of everything, including the monsters. And I'm very excited because I have a new monster that I think is going to be very strong, maybe even kill one person. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's why I keep him around. He's the brain, I'm the muscle.
Well, on the need for muscle, Ralph, the angels are together because they're outcasts, and every group of outcasts needs a group of tormentors. Who are the children who've been giving you the most trouble over the course of the summer? What name strikes fear into your 11, 12-year-old heart?
There's this older boy, and he's got friends. His name is Mateo, but you know his friends, Christopher and Andrew and Jonathan. They're very strong. I think they play sports. They like to make fun of us, and sometimes they'll go out of their way to ruin our fun times.
Well, you'll have a little bit of fun time so far, not to tip my hand or anything. So how does that go? You're setting up your D&D game. Ralph, you're getting your books out. What does this moment look like before, hypothetically, it is ruined?
Okay, so I have this giant binder up that I put pictures in to look like an awesome wizard riding a dragon, shooting fire, and it's in front of me so I can hide my rolls so no one can peek and cheat. And I have all my little notes up, and I take out this really large boombox that I borrowed from my parents, and I made a cassette tape called D&D Adventure Jams Volume 1. I'm gonna make 5 more of these. It's gonna be so epic. And I put it in and I play, and some Rush starts coming out, and I turn it up. But it's too loud, it hurts my ears, so I put it back down again. And then I start to address everyone at the table by their character names, and I say, there you are, in a misty swamp. And I need everyone to make awareness checks. I'm very excited.
So the other 3 of you, how into this are you? I mean, everybody, speaking of memories that we all have from childhood, there's that thing that got you into D&D. They're role-playing games in general. So when Ralph or when Thomas said, hey, there's this game I want to play, I want to try it out, what was your first impression? And if it's changed since then, how are you reacting to the game now? Do you want to start with Michael?
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, this is nerd stuff. I'm not a dork. But then I got to be a hero, and I love heroes. I've always wanted, to be one, and now I get to. When he asked for the awareness roll, I'm busy like smacking a piece of wood against a tree, just kind of messing around, but I'm fast to get over there and roll that dice.
And what class are you playing?
I'm a barbarian.
Of course. I mean, I had to ask, but I didn't have to ask.
I can dish it out, and I can take a hit better than anyone else.
Harlow, how about you?
Well, I would do anything to keep my friend happy. So Thomas said, "Hey, I want to play D&D," and I was like, "Okay." Home sucks sometimes. Real life sucks sometimes. So playing pretend is really fun, And so I think at the time that Ralph is setting everything up, Thomas and I are Thomas is using his staff to pretend to cast some spells, and I am I'm dancing around. I think I'm probably an old equivalent to a bard, something charismatic and fun, very lighthearted, and we're very enthusiastic and run over to give our rolls and are just happy.
And Gabrielle.
Honestly, I really like Dungeons and Dragons because it's not it's very not normal. There are so, those girls at school that are, super popular and just have everything together. They don't play D&D. And I think that D&D is really unique and special. And so Ralph is so excited about it, and he's He's like my best friend. So when he was like, hey, I want to do this thing, I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to do it with you. Of course. And then I just got into it because nobody else was. And it kind of like sets us apart from everybody else, which is cool.
And what class are you playing?
Rogue. The black lips, the black clothes, like they didn't give it away.
Same story as Michael. Like, I
Sure.
had an assumption, but
Mhm.
you know, I'm here to facilitate the game, so I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth.
Yeah, no, definitely Rogue, because I like to be sneaky and, you know, cause trouble without being seen.
I mean,
Yeah.
in D&D, we get to be us, but better us. So-
Exactly.
Well, that explains why Thomas is playing the fighter. You know that he comes from a foster home and that his home life isn't super great, but he plays it real close to his chest. You don't know the details, but also, do you need to know the details? It's obvious that things aren't good for him. He's run away several times over the course of the last few years, every now and again ending up at one of your houses for a little while. A little bit of refuge before one of your parents said, okay, well, I'm going to call your folks and send you back home. And it was always just a dread, a terror on his face. And you can see as you play, Michael, as you brash wielding the sword, attacking the foliage. Gabrielle, as you're hunched over your dice, piling up your d6s for when that sneak attack gets to hit. Harlow, every time you look at him and you give him inspiration instead of somebody else, and he gets that little bit of a hint of a blush in his cheek, and then has to kind of go back to being dour about it because being flirted with really isn't its brand. And yeah. And then Ralph, as you're lording all over this, doing the voices, hands in the air as the Lich and the Beholder approach. It's the perfect afternoon. Until Gabrielle, Mateo, and his goon squad have stumbled across you, found you, who knows. But what do they do to ruin your game as they approach? Because they're going to ruin your game.
Of course they are, because that's what they do. And that's why we actually chose this park, because this park isn't the one that we normally go to. Like Michael said, it's kind of out of the way. So we thought that we were going to be safe. But Mateo and his crew, they don't give us a heads up. There isn't even a warning. There's just water balloons from nowhere, from everywhere, just flying in, smashing against our faces, smashing against trees, just sending water all over our papers, all over all of our cardboard swords and all of our LARP stuff, and all over the costumes that people have like put together. And that is just the beginning, because as soon as we are drenched and distraught, they come in and they, you know, start pummeling Ralph like they do, because he's the smallest and he's the one with the crown on his head because he's the dungeon master. And it just all goes downhill real fast.
Older boys, not old enough to be spending their summer in their brand new cars, right? You get licensed when you're 16. The mischief generally comes before that. But it's like she says, you hear them rolling up on their bikes, just howling, cackling with laughter. The leader of them being, oh, look, it's the angels. It's Ralph. Look at the Nerd King. And they run over and they take your crown off, and they're pulling you up by the hoodie, and this is expensive. It's your favorite shirt. It's
Hey,
like,
get off. It's my favorite. Look, I'll take it off, but just don't hurt it, okay? It's my favorite.
no, what's the matter? Did your mommy buy that for you? Is she gonna be mad if you ruin your birthday present?
The moment they're on him, I'm sprinting towards them and I'm pushing them off around, like, hey, go away! We don't want you here, man!
Oh, whoa, tough guy. Whoa, sorry,
yeah,
man.
I'm the tough guy.
Yeah. Look, it's fine. No, man, we're just having fun. You don't have to stand up like I know, like Harlow over there. You won't impress her. I'm sure. What does that make you? Are you hard, you little man hard?
you take that back. And I start to smack my stick against the ground to kind of like, I'm going to hit you with this if you don't back off.
Oh, Gabrielle, your little dog. You need to get him back on a leash before he causes some trouble.
I will let this dog loose. Don't you test me, Mateo.
Woof.
They're just howling with laughter. At this point, Michael, you have to make a choice. They're obviously not going to back down. Is your anger rising?
Oh yeah. Like they've messed up with Ralph. They called Harlow, which is unacceptable. And I know Gabby's at least got my back. I'm ready. I'm going to fight these guys.
Gabby, do you have his back?
Oh, absolutely. I am intimidated by Michael, but you know, when he gets this angry. But I mean, you don't get to say mean things about my friends and ruin our time and expect to get away with it. Absolutely not.
Ralph, what about you?
I'm just on the ground, balled up, screaming at them to stop wailing on me, and in my rage, I'm thrashing and kicking, but I'm not standing and fighting.
Not making any progress on that. And Harlow, Thomas, also not the type to fight. And you see it in his eyes as Michael gets angry. Just that physicality radiating off of your I said chicken hawk friend, but that's a little mean. You can see Thomas getting visibly uncomfortable. It's a physical reaction, and he's looking at you, just saying, "We just need to just make it stop. If we just give it in to them and whatever, we just got to get out of here. It's fine." And you can see a little bit of panic welling up inside of him. But before you respond to that, Michael, will you roll to engage in violence and go ahead and give yourself a +1 because Gabrielle's gonna help.
Ooh. +1. 20.
That is an astoundingly good roll. So describe for me how you managed to get one over on this guy. What do you do that pushes the encounter away from bullying to Mateo being like, whoa, okay?
I imagine it's not really like... There's no real good form to it. I have not trained in combat at this point. I am just flailing the stick around, and it comes a little too close a couple of times to the bullies, and they start feeling like they need to back off. Because I am just going. I am a haymaker of potential hurt, and they are in my warpath.
Come on, guys. Just having a little bit of fun. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin your whole game, but we better get out of here before the barbarian goes into turbo rage. And you can see them just in the way that bullies do when the tide starts to turn. They still have to get that little last bit of comeuppance.
Maybe if I was a little older, a little more knowledgeable, I would have realized what they're doing, but this just throws me further into a rage. I'm throwing rocks at them as they're running away, cackling at me.
Thomas breaking away from Harlow. Michael, stop! And you can see that same panic that any time the physical escalation begins, like the tiny heart in his chest just pounding away, and he reaches out for your arm, and when you go to throw, he's grabbing a hold of your elbow and pulling it back. Like, Michael, come on, no, stop, they're leaving, it's fine.
I kind of give Thomas this dirty look, like, they insulted us, they called our friends bad names. I can't stand for that, but I'm not throwing, I am listening to him. I'm just, I gotta get that edge in with him.
Maybe you get one rock off. Maybe you manage to keep it down long enough. But the equipment's ruined. They rolled off with Ralph's crown. The water balloons have soaked your character sheets. And I mean, the book even. Oh, man. It's not like you came with towels or paper towels. So t-shirt pushing down on it, trying to get the water of the pages before it ruins the book. And as all that is happening, Thomas is just, he collapses onto his rear end, just plopping down onto the grass, putting his hands into his head.
I give him a tentative hug one that's not like overly intense or demanding, not an excessive amount of contact, because I feel like that would make him more uncomfortable right now. Just a reminder that we're there. And
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I look at Ralph. We'll get you another book.
Thanks. But I think I'm done DMing for a while. I think I need to grow up and learn about more important things than just liches and spells, maybe.
No, Ralph, you can't let them dictate what you do. You need to, we all have to be true to ourselves. And whatever they do, that's on them. Like they are mean people and they are choosing to be mean. But just because they're being mean doesn't mean that we have to change who we are.
This is what they wanted.
Look, I don't know. I just feel like if we're gonna get in trouble for doing this, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. I would rather us be safe than put a target on our backs with Mateo and his friends.
No, man, Gabrielle's right. Like, we should be free to do what we want to do. We got to stand up for ourselves. And I kind of give a pointed look at Thomas at this point, who's currently getting hugged by Harlow, which that guy. We need to fight them. We need to make it so they don't come after us no more. That's the idea. Then we're free to play all the D&D.
Michael, how can we do that? They're so strong and fast and they have bikes. Like, anatomically speaking, they have us beat.
You know, you always, for a DM, Ralph, I think you're being kind of stupid right now. And I say that with all the love in my heart because, you always have us check for traps, right? I'm always constantly checking for traps. So sure, they're bigger and stronger, but that we can always booby trap things. We're smarter. They're big and dumb and we're small and smart. And we could set something up.
We have each other.
Guys, it's fine. I mean, yeah, Ralph, we gotta get you another crown at least, right? You can't be a GM without a crown.
It's not fine, Thomas. We'll get them back.
You're all my friends, and I don't want to see any of us, fall victim to those bullies no more. We need to start fighting back, like we do in D&D. Like, we don't just let the orcs roll over us, right? If they're coming at us, we attack them back.
Thomas has been a little distant from Michael. It's that violence bit that makes him nervous. But as you say that, he kind of not shrugs out. It's a very natural end to the hug. It's not a rejection. But he separates himself from Harlow and he turns his way to Michael and he says, "Is that the answer? Like when someone hurts you, you hurt them back? Even if they're bigger than you and even if they're stronger than you?"
At this point in my life, I'm still kind of like dealing with a lot of morality. I want to be the hero, and I go, no, not always. It depends on the situation.
What if they hurt you really bad?
I think especially if they're bigger than you and if they're stronger than you.
You gotta outthink them. You gotta be fast. You gotta run away, because it's not about being strong. It's about being safe, right? Being healthy, and that means you gotta like run fast and think fast, and you gotta outsmart them. You gotta tell people, right? Like we gotta tell people that Mateo's being a bully, and maybe we can learn something about him and we can outsmart him.
My dad always says, "Give as good as you get." So yeah.
Thomas, do you have bullies? Do you have bullies besides Mateo?
When you ask, you don't really need to hear an answer because you can just feel him shrivel up inside himself. That defensive, reactive cocoon. Just trauma shield coming down over his eyes, glassing like a building sealing itself up. And every orifice out which an honest thought or emotion could come just cinches. And he closes up into himself. And he says, no, I mean, it's fine. It was just, I was, what's the word? Like, not a real question, but like just a what if, you know? Ralph, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Hypothetical.
Yeah, it was just hypothetical.
Okay.
Thomas, do you want to stay at my house this week?
I would have to ask, my foster parents, but they don't really think it's appropriate for me to be spending time at like a girl's house like that. They're
Listen. Thomas, if you got more bullies, I'll kick their asses too.
no, it's just fine, guys. I mean, I appreciate, I really do. I appreciate, but no, Michael, what you said, like, okay, yeah, no, we can stand up to the people who hurt us, and it's good that you're brave, and like Ralph, you're right. We can be smart about it too. I just I'm sorry. It's just a lot. It's a lot right now.
Well, you know, it's like whenever I make a dungeon for you all to get through, I always put like magical items and special traps in there so that not only, you know, will you be fighting the dungeon, but you have something to fight the dungeon back with. You know, we just need a magic item, something that'll like put us on the same plane, right? So no matter how strong they are, our smartness will win.
So we're never fighting alone.
Yeah.
So all I need's a good party and a couple magic items, huh?
And you already have the party.
Yeah.
This
Well, you
stick
guys-
seems pretty tough, and I hold it up.
I really appreciate you guys. Thanks. But it's getting to be, and he looks down at that $2 black Casio watch from the late 90s, you know, the one that has just that one little beep that would always go off in math class and make the old teacher be like, ugh. So he looks down at that, and he says, but I have to be home in you know, like 20 minutes, or else the foster family's going to be really upset. So I mean, Ralph, if you're okay, can we play again like later in the week? I know you said you didn't want to, but you know, like, and he just gestures to everybody in a way that says, like, we all need this.
Oh, yeah. I'll do some more reading, and I'll figure something else out, and then we can have another D&D day.
We're strongest when we stick together.
I've got some money from babysitting. We can see if there's enough to buy you another book, Ralph.
Thank you. In the meantime, I'll just use my mom's hair dryer on this one until it gets dry again.
I'm surprised you haven't memorized the rules already.
I've memorized about 3/4 of the book so far, but it's about having it more than memorizing it.
And the
understand.
monster stat blocks. That's the really hard part. But no GM, no matter how long you play, has all the monsters memorized. Well, there is a blanket of sadness over the day as you depart, but there's been a bit of an uplifting moment there at the end, at least something to tent pull up the trauma. Now, each of you will go your own way back to your own homes. Gabrielle, you actually live closest to Thomas, which means that, the group goes back into town as 5 and you split off one by one to go to your respective houses. But there's a good 2 blocks where you and Thomas are the only 2 walking along. He's been quiet for most of the trip. And then maybe a block before you reach your house, when he knows you're going to peel away and he'll be on his own, you feel his pace start to slow. And then finally he just stops and he turns to look at you. And you can see him not sizing you up. His eyes travel you, but not in a gross way, not in a malicious way. Just like he's trying to absorb the fullness of your person before he finally asks a question. Gabrielle, why are you my friend?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, Harlow's pretty and Michael is strong and Ralph is smart and you're brave and sneaky and you all have all this in common, but why are you my friend? Why am I in, like, the group, just like the weakest one and the one who has all the trouble? And I bet, like, Mateo wouldn't even be bothering you if it wasn't for me, because we all know, like, at school I'm the one he picks on, and I don't why do you put up with that? Why do you put up with me?
Because you're a creative person. You have so many good ideas bouncing around in your head. Michael's the big strong one and Ralph is the smart one, and cool, like I'm the weird one, right? Or, well, okay, Harlow's the weird one, but I'm not far behind. But honestly, like, you're kind of the leader of the group. I mean it. You're the one who always comes up with the things that we should do. You're the one that always has all of the big ideas. We wouldn't be doing half the things we do if it wasn't for you. I mean, yeah, Ralph runs the games for us, but it was you who suggested we get into it.
Yeah, I guess. Do the others feel that way too? Like, you're sure that I'm not, like, a burden to any of them, and that I'm not the bad person you just keep around?
Of course. You think that Michael would hang around you if he didn't genuinely like you? Michael doesn't genuinely like much in this world.
Do you think that he was right? That you should fight back against the people who hurt you?
I do. I think that keeping yourself safe is really important. Being able to fight back is really important. But I think it's easier if you don't have to do it alone. In Dungeons and Dragons, we wouldn't be able to do these things without each other. So if you do have somebody that you have to fight up against, just make sure you go with a good party. You shouldn't have to fight anybody alone.
Yeah. Well, if I don't, thanks, Gabrielle, but if I got, he's looking down at his watch again, rubbing his wrist. It's anxious. He doesn't know what to do with the energy bubbling up inside of him, and you can see as he handles his skin, he's pushing too hard. There's that red rub of irritation as he's trying to untangle this emotion welling up inside of himself before he finally manages. I need to get back, or else my dad's going to be really mad, but thank you.
Sure. And I hold out my arms, gesturing for a hug goodbye.
He's not going to deny you a hug. I mean, that would be rude. But you can tell there's no soul in it. Like, his brain is somewhere else, and he appreciates the gesture, but he's mind empty, no thoughts right now. There's just a lot of weight in him.
As I finish hugging him and, we kind of pull apart from each other, my hands are on his shoulder and I just lock eyes with him and say, I'm really happy you're part of our group, Thomas. It wouldn't be the same without you.
I hope you mean that.
I do.
So you and Thomas finally go your own separate ways, and the next few days don't feel quite right. Thomas looking more and more preoccupied as the five of you hang out together. Michael, he doesn't respond to your aggressive ribbing the way that he normally would. And Ralph, it's the first time you've ever had him not know what to do when his turn comes up in the fight. And Harlow and Gabrielle, as you each try to comfort him in your own way, there's an unfamiliar coldness. You're children. You might not have the vocabulary for it, but you can feel what that depressive retreat is like, what it's like to be next to someone who is there physically with you, but emotionally retreating from the moment. And that builds and builds and builds. And that builds and builds and builds until one Saturday. You've agreed to meet at the lake for the big climactic battle at 9 a.m. But when you all show up, Thomas isn't there. And you wait a little longer, wait a little longer, wait a little longer. He doesn't show.
Where is he?
He's flaking on us.
He wouldn't do that. Has anyone talked?
Oh no, I think we had the same idea. Did anyone check in with him or his foster family?
Listen, all I know is he's been weird the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there like a ranger station or a lake house or some sort that has a phone that's like a public phone to use?
Maybe sometimes I pass the mart on the way down. They could have a phone, or if we get 50 cents, we can use we could call them from a payphone.
Yeah, I might have. I go dig around in my pockets to see if I have some change.
Well, whether you come by a phone in the ranger station or at a gas station payphone, you call Thomas's number, which you have to memorize because it's 1999. The phone just rings and rings and rings and rings and rings.
We should go down there. We should go to his house and be like, hey, come out and finish D&D with us.
Michael, he said his parents doesn't. He basically said his parents don't like us. If we go over there, they're just gonna like us less, and then he's gonna get in trouble.
Then what do we do?
We have to go, right?
Yeah, I think we need to go. It's okay if they don't like us. They already don't like us. Liking us less won't change much.
I just worry that I don't want Thomas to be unsafe because they don't like us. You know?
I mean, aren't you you kind of worried that he's unsafe right now, though? Regardless of whether or not they like us?
I don't like thinking about that.
I know. I mean, I don't either. It's just he's just been acting really weird the last couple days, and it just hasn't felt right, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And he needs his venturing party, and he needs his GM. I think maybe, who knows, we can just play outside his house, in front of his house, so his parents will see, well, his foster parents will see that he's safe. Let's take the game to him. We can do the lake another time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what
Like
they
that
say,
idea.
when one person in the party gets attacked, we all roll initiative, right? That's the rule.
Yeah.
Well,
Angels together.
it seems like the party is in agreement that the right thing is to go back into town and wander on over to Thomas's house. You do know where he lives, although you've never been inside. You've always had to pick him up as a group outside the porch. You haven't gone there often, but this time will be the one that sticks in your brain. Because as you make that right turn onto Maple Street, looking down towards Thomas's house, you can already tell that something is terribly wrong. There's a police cruiser outside the home with an officer leaning up against it, obviously vomiting. Another officer is crouched on the driver's side, flat against the car with the radio in his hand, desperately calling for reinforcements. And we will figure out what you're going to do in a little minute. Before that, how about we take a quick break?
Oh my god.
Well, we're back from our break, but the scene hasn't changed. Two visibly upset, terrified, distraught police officers sitting outside of your friend's house. Now, whatever's happened, it hasn't been going on for long. There's only the two cops, there's no journalists, no crime scene tapes, so this is still a pretty fresh situation. But it is obvious by the way that those two officers are conducting themselves. And to be fair, it's not like you live in a terrible town, right? Where they see traumatic, horrible things all the time. They are shaken. So, what's the next move?
Is Thomas okay?
I don't know, there's cops. He might be in some real trouble.
I'm gonna drop my bike and run up and try to go in the house.
Can I answer that question here in a second? Is anyone on this plan as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the police are in the front, and you're 11 years old, but you still know it's probably a bad idea to just walk past them into the front door. But you do know it has a back entrance, and you could probably sneak in there and be okay.
Can we sneak along the neighbor's fence and hop over?
Is that something you've tried before? Is that your normal method of sneaking through the neighborhood?
Dad would tan me if I did that, but yeah, I've done it maybe a couple times.
Well, Michael, you're the one who knows. Describe for me that path as you creep along I'm guessing it's one of those big wooden fences with the thick slats that you can't see through, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
the way this goes is I just kind of duck down low. Usually people don't pay much attention. Sometimes they'll notice you sneak in, but for now we're just gonna go into the neighbor's yard, walk along the fence as close as we can, and hunch, right? And when we get to where the back door of Thomas's house is, I'm gonna boost the ladies over, Ralph over,
Who goes first?
Me. I think I would probably be the most eager.
So Michael laces his fingertips together and gets them under your shoe and up and over the fence. It's quiet back here. There's a hammock, the kind that you get when you're, it's that first day of summer and you go make the splurge, but it doesn't look it's been used. A small shed with gardening supplies, maybe a mower. The rest of it looks pretty pristine.
There's no one out here. You can come over.
I'll take that. As soon as she says it's okay, I look at Michael, wait for him to get his hands back in position, and climb on over the top.
You ready, Gabrielle? No.
Yeah.
Hoist.
Let's do it. This is actually a little fun for me because it's very roguelike.
And then Ralph bringing up the rear of that situation.
Yeah, I'm very... Be more solid, Michael. I know you're strong. I don't feel safe. Michael, you... And then as I get thrown up to the thing, I start scrambling over like a goblin, just kind of going, ow, ow, ow. It hurts me.
I'm kind of hushed, whispering, because I don't want the cops to hear us, but I'm like, Ralph, just, you got this, man. You got this. You're strong.
Okay. It hurts. The fence hurt my BP. It hurts. Michael, don't tell the girls I said that, but it hurt.
I won't promise.
Harlow, did you hear that too?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Normal storyteller book says expand upon this by asking questions, but I don't think it's appropriate to ask what your thoughts about Ralph hurting his penis are. So we'll just move forward to the back of the house.
I apologize for ruining the mood. I was just trying to think of a kid who is very awkward trying to climb a fence and
Yo, that just
It's-
happened.
No, it's fine. It's I like you're in character and I'm the one who lost it. It's fine.
I think we all lost it a little bit, except for maybe me and Zoe. They seem almost stoic about it.
Heard worse.
Once all my friends are over the fence, I will scramble over myself. There might be a point where I can't actually do it, like my muscles aren't just strong enough to do it, but this is the start of me just muscling through things, muscling through my emotions, muscling through my hardships, and I manage even though physically I am having a hard time.
Well, so the house is a 3-story affair, 2 above and 1 below. It has those pastel yellow siding, very domestic, probably a little closer to 1970s decor that hasn't been brought up on the outside. The windows are oversized, letting lots of light in, and they have those like dark polished wood frames. So it's a little jarring going from the frame to the siding. The entire neighborhood is forested. The entire part of the state is forested. So you have nice trees that branches reaching up to the house, and the kind of thing that, I mean, like every high school and coming of age movie talks about. That's the tree you climb to sneak in someone's house, right? That's what that has. Blossom come out yet in 1999? I think it has.
Oh yeah.
Same exact kind of vibe. There are 3 ways into the home from this place. There's the back door leading into the kitchen. There's another door that leads down a half set of stairs into the basement. And then, of course, there are any number of windows. We'll tell you that approaching, the back door remains locked. So you have those other 2 choices of ways to get in, either to head into the basement first or the ground floor through one of the windows. I guess if you're super brave, you could go upstairs. It's up to you.
I would never. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, would any of us know of a particular window that they forget to lock? Maybe I feel like there would maybe be one somewhere.
You know, this isn't the kind of neighborhood that has that kind of crime. The fact that the door is locked is a bit weird. I'm willing to bet any one of these windows would just pop open if you lifted.
I think we'd try to go through that. Be easiest, especially for our small stature.
This isn't something I'd admit out loud, but my muscles are kind of shaking a little bit from my climb. I'm not ready to hoist anyone up to a 2nd-story window or anything like that, so I'll suggest, hey, we could try the basement.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a smart idea. They have like a window that goes to the basement, right? Like that's just on the ground that's big enough for us to crawl through? Or
That's
at least
fine.
one of us?
That's fire code. If it's going to be an occupiable basement, you need to have a window that you can escape from. And if you can escape from it, you can ingress as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
Who is the brave young soul who enters the room first?
Well, based on character sheets, I think Michael has a high enough willpower, so I would suggest that they would go first. Ralph says as he does awkward like adjustments and squats.
This actually kind of bolsters me a little bit, and I stick my chest out. Yeah, I'll go first.
Yay.
It's not so simple as looking into the room and lifting the window up. This part of the building, you're on the shady side, and there are no lights on, so it's dark. You can see the shape of things. It's not pitch black, but you don't have a super good look of what's going inside. You recognize that it's a bedroom. That much you can tell for sure, based on the fact that there's a bed in it and it is a room, and you know those 2 words together, figure it out. So you lift up underneath the window. It folds itself open, and you can slide inside. And the first thing you notice as you plant your feet down is how they try to slip out from under you. And you find yourself wobbling a little bit, getting steady, maybe catching yourself on the door.
I think they have a leak, guys. Careful when you come in.
You roll reflexes for me.
Sure. Oof, 19.
So you manage to keep your balance, which is good, because as you steady yourself on the wall, as opposed to the floor, or as opposed to face planting on the floor, you realize what you would have landed in. The entire floor is coated in about a quarter or an eighth of an inch thick layer of blood. Like a carpet that spreads out across the place, like someone had iced a cake or something like. And it doesn't take you long to follow that up to the bed, where you think this is one of the foster family's biological children, is underneath the sheets. And that's where the red stain starts.
I get this sinking feeling in my stomach. There's that innate feeling when someone is dead, something is wrong, and I'm hit with that, like, immediately. And before I can really think about what's going on, I turn to the window and I say, on second thought, don't come in. Don't come in. There's that obvious worry in my voice.
Michael, what? We've got to get in there. We can't go in the front door.
No, it's bad down here. It's bad.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Oh God, I hope that's not Thomas.
What?
Nothing.
I'm climbing in.
I was about to
Harlow.
say, if either of you, if any of the three of you manage to make it through that exposition without demanding to see for yourself, you are children possessed of more willpower than any other child on the planet. Like a natural curiosity. Harlow's concerned, Gabrielle's concerned, even Ralph has a sort of curiosity about the whole thing. And if someone says, don't come down here, and you're 11, the very first thing you're going to do is come down, right?
Yeah.
So we've settled that. Who's the first person who pokes their head in that window? Ah, yes, Harlow, of course. Well, it's not a pretty picture, to be sure. The only solace that you'll find in the moment is that whatever the bloody lump under the sheets is, it is bigger than Thomas.
That's not Thomas. What?
Harlow, try not to look.
Where's Thomas?
I turn to Ralph and give him a kind of look, gesture towards the window, and then just start sliding in, feet first.
I go after her, but only after her. And yeah, I wait for her to land before I sidle through.
Which of the two of you is the more nimble? Because that will determine who gets punished by the check.
How do I answer that question? If I had to guess, I'd guess me,
Okay.
just based on everything I know about Ralph.
All right, Ralph. Well, I'll say these two things. First of all, you are not much of a Fred Astaire type. I think seeing you rollerblading would be comedy of the highest order. And second, what you see is going to hit you pretty hard. Will you roll reflex? Actually, no. Why don't you roll to keep it together as you enter the room?
Okay. It's an 11.
Not the worst, not the best. It does invite a complication. You've close enough to succeed it. It's not an outright punishment, so why don't you tell me what happens when you see the blood, the panic rises? What is the impulsive decision that leaps up from your survival reflex to dominate the moment?
They say, well, later they would expand upon it, that there are two reactions to fear, fight or flight. I do neither of those. I freeze. I shut down. I can feel something in my brain literally snap like fingers, and then something icy cold washing over my stomach down to my toes. As I stare at this scene, I just feel everything go fuzzy and numb. Not just me, but my world around me. And I just sit there, eyes open, mouth agape, staring.
I reach out and put a hand on Ralph's shoulder, and when it's obvious that it's not working, I kind of shake him a little bit. Ralph, hey.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
No, I'm feeling scared, and I'm feeling kind of sad, and I'm feeling both a lot right now.
That's okay. I think we all are, right, guys? And I just kind of like look at Harlow and Michael, just trying to get some sort of validation for Ralph so he doesn't think he's alone in this.
We should look for Thomas. Maybe he's all right.
Yeah, maybe he's hiding, because that would be the smart thing to do, would be to hide from whoever did this.
Yeah. He's gotta be okay. He's tough kid.
Yeah.
Well, there are two ways out of this room: the window whence you came and the door to the hallway. Which, again, the question is, who's going to be brave enough to open that door?
I will. I'm the rogue, right? You send me up to check for traps and make sure that everything's okay. So we made sure that this space was safe, but doors and hallways, those are trickier. So it'll be me.
I'm really sorry, Gabrielle. Because when you open that door, what you see, maybe being the first person matters, maybe it won't, maybe your reaction will prepare the others, but I know that it will sit with you, having been the explorer, the first one to come across it. You open the door and you look to the left, there's just a closet, the kind you put the spare toilet paper in, anything like that. And turning right, that's how you get to the remainder of the house. You don't need to know what's under the sheets, because the evidence in the hallway lets you extrapolate the totality of the picture. Because along the wall, it's like a human has been unrolled, like a carpet. Skin just start peeling on one spot and then just wallpaper them down, tacked up with half-inserted nails along the way. And it's fresh, and you can see the pores and the tiny hairs. I mean, Thomas is his brother, foster brother, was not that much older than you, so there's not so much, but every little piece of it, until if you can force your eyes to follow all the way down to the end, you can see the skin of the face and the nose just hanging limply off the edge, dangling, mouth agape, sockets empty, in what is obvious terror. And the only thing that I think will bring you any comfort in this moment is that there are no obvious wounds on it. There's no stabbing, no signs of a struggle, no cut marks from defense. And maybe you can't put that together now, but a more adult version of you would realize that that means he died without a struggle. And if you were concerned at all about the other child in this house who's not Thomas, there were two of the foster parents' biological children. You need only look to the other side. And the floor here is likewise stained with blood, but also implements, knives, small saws, pliers, scattered across the floor as if someone used them for a specific purpose and dropped them here. How are you doing?
As I get up to the top of the stairs and take all of this in, I can't let anybody else see this. Ralph is just gonna just fall apart, and Michael's already, and Harlow. I just close the door to the basement and just sit up against it and slump down, sitting with my back against it and my feet across the hallway, propped up against the door like a barricade.
Sliding down with your back against the door until you're seated in the viscera, and you don't even notice the way that your socks, your shoes start to pick up that goo, the warm, it's still warm, the warm syrupy that soaks up through the seat of your pants.
Gabrielle, we gotta get to Thomas. What are you doing?
No. And I just keep saying no, just really softly on the other side of the door.
Thomas in there? Is he on the other side? Is he okay?
Did you see him?
I don't know where Thomas is, but he's not, this isn't, that's not him, and this isn't him, and there's so much of people that are not him in this space right now. No.
Gabby, it's me, Ralph. Hey, listen. If Thomas is in danger, then we need to find him, and I don't want to be here anymore. And the faster that we find Thomas, the faster we can all go and play Dungeons and Dragons, and we don't have to be here. And if it's not him, then that means he's safe, but he won't be unless we find him.
We need to make sure he's okay. We need to go. You gotta move away from the door.
Gabrielle, you're the only one who's seen it, and the rogue leads the party. It would be a tremendous act of sacrifice and bravery on your part, but if they closed their eyes, you could lead them through it.
You guys, okay, you guys, I will move, but you need to promise me. I need you to do, and I need you to trust me. Okay, you guys trust me, right?
Yeah, I trust you.
Okay, so what I need you all to do, I'm gonna open this door. I need all of you to hold hands. Okay? And I need everybody to close your eyes. Just trust me. I just need you all to close your eyes, and we're gonna go slow. And we're gonna go upstairs, but I need you not to open your eyes. Okay? Please?
Yeah, of course.
I need to hear it, or I'm not opening this door.
Yeah, I'll close my eyes.
Okay. No, Harlow, don't. I just need you to trust me. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Are you guys ready? Just let me know when you're in position and I can open this door.
One by one, you interlink your hands, and there's that last moment where Gabrielle looks back into the room and makes sure that you are following her instructions. And you hear the door squeaking open. It's one of those hollow core cheap doors, $60 at Home Depot, swinging open on the hinges. And she leads you hand in hand down the hallway. But there are two things that she neglected to mention. The first is what you might step on along the way, and the second is what to do with any spare hands that you have, because the last person in this chain has some free digits. So who was the last person out of the room? Michael.
Figure it's only correct for me to be protecting the party from behind.
Then how long does it take before that natural human instinct to guide causes you to reach out and find where the wall is and to maintain your sense of place in this hallway? And then a follow-up question, once you've done that, how long does it take your fingertips trailing against this new wall decor to realize what you're touching?
Not long. I imagine it's kind of one of those, like the Sodom and Gomorrah, when Lot's wife looks back one last time before turning into a pillar of salt herself. It's like that, except it's this room and it's me, this kid.
Are you going to try to keep your eyes closed even though you know what's there? Feeling it is one thing, seeing it is quite another. Michael, you don't want that image in your head. Not for the rest of your life, not like this.
I imagine it's something like my eyes snap open when I feel the wall. Like, what is that? But then I see this briefest of image of what's in this room and I close them tight again.
I would like to believe that you are strong and brave enough to keep the reaction muted as not to cause panic in everybody else, but for that, I'm going to need you to roll to keep it together.
Oof. 18.
Michael, you've been quite the hero this episode, actually.
Yeah.
So what is it that lets you swallow it down? It's actually astounding that a child of your age would be able to hold back a reaction. What is it that lets you do that?
Well, I've always had a fascination with the world wars, right? I read everything I can about World War II. I want to be a soldier when I grow up. And, like, soldiers have to be brave. They can't freak out when they see a man down. So I'm holding on to that. I'm holding on to this idea that I'm gonna one day be a part of the US military. I'm gonna be a hero. And I can't let anyone else down. I've already opened my eyes. I was messed up. But my friends don't have to suffer for that.
It's admirable bravery. So, Gabrielle, you lead the people through this hallway, having to digest on your own these experiences. You, like Michael, making sacrifices so that others need not. And you ascend the stairwell, your own sticky footsteps crawling up one by one, extra slow to make sure no one falls down. And you open up the door to the main floor of the house. And at that point, there's no amount of bravery or stoicism that will prevent you from reacting to what you see. You had only seen Thomas's foster parents a couple times. They were in their late 40s. The mother, very much 1960s housewife model. The father, a barrel-chested Archie Bunker type. And at first, you don't recognize what you're looking at, because every time that you've seen them in the past, they were one cohesive piece of human. And not dismembered the way that someone would pull apart a doll. Each joint separated on side to side, the fingers splayed. The father mounted like the Vitruvian Man, arms and legs spread out at 45-degree angles, nailed up against the wall. The wife, likewise, but upside down, forming a cruel runic picture, almost. Both of their heads have been removed and left on the mantle. And in every single inch of spare wall, in their blood, has been scrawled 1,000 times over. Hate, 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 hate. It's not a question of whether or not you're going to keep it together, because this is beyond your capacity to do so. So what I want to know is what comes out of your mouth that gives the game away. What your brain is not built to process this. Literally, biologically, you lack the capacity to fully comprehend and process what has happened here. So what happens?
Staring at all of this, I just start to squeeze the hand of whoever is directly behind me, and it starts to hurt as I'm like digging my nails in, and I just start shaking, and I start sobbing. I'm not sad, but I can't stop the tears from coming, and I just start hyperventilating through the sobs, and almost to the point of giving myself hiccups, because there's just so much happening at the same time, and it's all too much.
Who is behind you? Who's next in the chain?
I like to think Harlow. I would have been any excuse to try and hold her hand.
So you feel her grip tightening to the point of discomfort, and you can start to feel it tremble as her body just begins to shake.
What do you see? Is it Thomas? At this point, I'm struggling to like push past so I can see too.
It's not Thomas. It's not Thomas. But it is Thomas. It's Thomas. It's Thomas. What did Thomas do? What did Thomas do? What did he 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 do? What did Thomas do?
At this point, I'm like, I guess sprinting would be the wrong word since I have obstacles, but I'm not necessarily shoving Gabrielle out of the way, but I am trying to push my way past so I can see what's going on. Very concerned about my best friend. And
anytime when you're faced with a mosaic, right, a complicated image, your brain's going to find one thing to focus on first, and then it builds a picture out from that, right? Like when you look at a painting, you see the Mona Lisa's eyes, and then kind of spread out from there. So in this case, which of these gory items is what your face latches onto first?
I would say that the splayed and nailed bodies.
Oh, but a specific part, right? Because when your eyes flash around to that room, you have no idea what you're going to find, and it's all so messy and confusing. So you have to start somewhere.
at his foster father's wrist.
Nailed to the wall, not crucified. The form is wrong, but driven deep and messy. He's got those old man hands. They're not withered, but calloused with work. The wrinkles in them from years and years and years of nice blue-collar labor. And at the top, the dirty nails caked with the normal bits of human life, and then the not normal bits of human life. And you can try to follow it back to the wrist, and you'll make it about to the wrist. But then the skin gives way to torn fascia and hanging sheets of muscle and a long spur of bone.
Where is he? What did he do? I start dry heaving.
Ralph, I'm assuming you are the third person in line, and at this point, Harlow has abandoned your hand, leaving you hung out to dry at the top of the stairwell. And Michael, behind Ralph, you already have an inkling of what has come to pass in this home. How are the two of you handling this?
I'm still holding Ralph's hand. I don't know if it's reflex, like, when a kid reaches out for their parent in a shopping mall and you hold hands tightly so you don't lose each other, and I'm still holding on to Ralph's hand.
I'm taking a minute to catch my breath and decide to open my eyes, hearing Harlow dry heave and hearing Gabrielle in a panic. I have to know what it is. And my immediate reaction when I see everything is to bring Michael into the fold. I say, Michael, you gotta look at this. You gotta look. It's gonna be bad, but you gotta look, Michael.
No reason not to trust Ralph. And I look at this room too. And I see Harlow and Gabrielle breaking down. My friend group's falling apart right now.
Part of me has shut off to the point where maybe I've just been so shocked from the first and piecing the other details up to this point, but I'm so shut off that now I guess my brain is protecting me, and now I have to solve this mystery. And I start looking around to find Thomas, and if I don't see him on this floor, my instinct is to go stomping up the stairs as fast as I can to try and find him on the next floor and the next and the next.
Since you're taking the initiative, I'd actually follow you on this. My hand is still holding onto yours.
As I stomp up the stairs, I shout down to everyone else, I'm gonna go look for him upstairs. I'm gonna go find him, and then we can get out of here. Get safe. Be smart. Be fast. Be safe. And I stomp up the stairs.
Room by room, you kick open doors, flinging open anything that you can find. You've never been in this house. You have to check every single thing. And the same pattern plays out in every room but one. We'll get to that exception in a moment. But as best you can tell, the mother, the father, both of their children were killed in their sleep, or at the very least were paralyzed by an agent maybe, or just by fear. There's no sign of struggle anywhere in the house, as if somebody had just walked bedside to bedside, an angel of death, executed each of them, and then set about a profane arts and crafts project in the remainder of the home. You don't find Thomas. When you arrive in his room, sparsely decorated, especially compared to the rest of the home. The walls are bare. He's not here, but the bed is knocked askew. The small things that were on the dresser, the little things that he was allowed to keep, scattered across the floor. And at the foot of his bed, in between that and the window, a strange, swirled, charred pattern on the floor, like someone had taken maybe a lighter or a torch and just waved it around. Almost, it's hard to tell if it was intentional or just meandering, but you can see that teeniest little hint of singe in the carpet.
Not seeing Thomas's body, not seeing Thomas at all, I start to just call out to him. Just, Thomas, come on out. You're okay, buddy. Thomas.
Join Michael, hoping that maybe louder voices together will either magically make Thomas appear, or I don't know, we'll luck out in some way. Thomas, come on, we gotta go. Thomas.
Well, Thomas won't answer. In fact, the next voice you hear belongs to a law enforcement officer, because at this point, any thought of discretion has left you. Just desperate cries from young friends. And you hear the thumping up the stairs of the heavy boots, and then a man in a uniform just, "What the fuck are you doing in here? Who are you, kid? You can't, this is a crime scene!" And just all at once, panicky, not sure what to do, still digesting what has happened into the thing, what has happened in the home. He will escort you outside, each of you, and by this point, there's more backup that has arrived. There are new police and other emergency services and ambulance and the EMTs, who again have no idea what role you've played in this. They're bringing you blankets and wrapping you up, just going through the motions. When you're faced with something like this and you don't know how to process it, what possibly could a paramedic do here? What evidence is there to collect? It's everywhere. So you retreat to those basic maneuvers. You get the blanket here and you set up the perimeter there. And if you're a small town cop, you pray that someone more qualified comes to take this on. And in the beginning, there's concern. There's a panicked moment where they wonder if they just missed you and you'd survived the incident, but it becomes clear that that's not the case. And then it turns to, are you okay? Trying to do that basic child psychology work that none of these people are capable of. It's just a parent who doesn't know what's happening to their kid and is just going through the motions of trying to make you feel better in the most generic way. And if you mention Thomas, and you're going to mention Thomas, it turns just a little bit to that hint of an investigatory urge. Oh, do you know someone who could do this? Do you know someone capable of this? Like your friend Thomas, was he feeling okay? When's the last time you saw him? So we'll start there. There's a female officer, 35, maybe transferred into this town after moving in from a bigger city looking for a quiet life. And she has a slightly more professional bent about her. Her hair is tied back in a neat bun with a series of dark hairpins holding things in place. Just enough makeup to look professional, but obviously more concerned with police work. And she's squat down in front of you. I'm sorry, you said your name was Harlow? Yeah? Okay, I know this is really terrible. And she reaches out and she takes her hand into your hand and starts to squeeze. But we want to find the people who did this, and if if your friend is missing too, we want to be able to stop before anything happens to them. So can you tell me anything about the last few days? Anything that might help us figure this out, Harlow?
We went to the park, and I mean I might have saw him at school a few times. We've had a busy few days. I haven't seen him too much since. We haven't really had a chance to. Where's Thomas? Is he in there?
There's another officer, having separated Ralph to the side, and he's got his notebook out, and he looks stern, impassive. Maybe he hasn't been in the house and hasn't had the opportunity to react, but he's asking you more pointedly. This Thomas friend of yours, has he said anything in the last few days when you've spoken to him? Did he express any thoughts of violence, of harming himself or others?
This is probably one of the first few times in my life that I am becoming self-aware of what's happening. I know that if I answer anything and they find Thomas is in trouble. And if Thomas is in trouble, then I don't get to see my friend anymore. So I lie. I lie to the officer. I say, no, we were just hanging out and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that's it.
I mean, when you played Dungeons and Dragons, was there anything about that maybe struck you as odd? Was he especially violent in that game? Did he lean into anything? It's a clumsy metaphor. Obviously, someone who's only heard of this through, the nightly news, but he's doing his best to maybe form a connection and see if he can dig at something.
No. He was always the creative one. He'd always find non-violent solutions to the things in the game.
The interviews continue. Michael, again, being separated. And at this point, the officers have begun to collect the beginning of the information, and now they're focused on something else. All right, young man, can you tell us what you were doing in the house?
We were looking for our friend Thomas. He was supposed to meet us at the lake, and he didn't show up, so we went to go and find him. We couldn't find. He's not in there, is he?
Yeah, well, we're still looking for him, but right now I wanna focus on you coming up to the house. You saw the police officers here when you arrived, right?
You get the kind of that moment where I look away as if I'm about to tell a lie. It's completely obvious, and I say, "No, we didn't see anyone."
Are you sure?
Just us.
No, Michael, this is very important. This is a very serious crime scene, and we're gonna have some people come in with lab techs, and they're gonna have to get evidence. And if you can't be honest with me about what you were doing in the house, and they maybe find one of your hairs somewhere, that could be a problem. And even if not, it's a felony to interfere with a crime scene, right, Michael?
I saw someone outside the front throwing up, but I couldn't tell if he was a cop. I don't know. I didn't pay attention. I wanted to see if Michael was, or if I wanted to see if Thomas was okay.
And Gabrielle, the same officer, once she's finished with Harlow, coming to you. Hey, are you doing okay? Are you doing all right? I mean, that's a stupid question, I know, but you think you can talk for a little bit?
Sure, I guess I am. Sure.
We've contacted your parents and they're going to be on the way, but we've talked to all of your friends. I don't have any more questions for you about that, but you can understand that we're a little worried about the way you and your friends are feeling. So I want you to know it's natural to be confused at this moment, but if it's okay with you, I'm gonna have my friend over here. He's on his way too. I almost said Dr. McGee, and that would have killed the entire moment.
It would have. Thank you.
Dr. Royce, and I think if it's okay with you, I'd like to maybe give you some medication to sleep through the evening. Is that okay?
Do you think it's gonna? Do you think it'd be hard to sleep?
Well, everyone's a little bit different, but in this case, it's more about better safe than sorry. So we'd like to get you at least a good night's sleep. You know, you don't nightmares and things like that. And then the day after, maybe you could come down into the station and have a longer conversation with Dr. Royce about some of the things that you've seen. But I want you to know it's perfectly fine. It's safe. We just want to make sure that, you know, you feel okay through all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sure. Yeah.
And that's the ritual each of you is presented with. The interviews, at first understanding and then angry, confusion mounting in the investigation as the days go by and Thomas doesn't appear. And then after that, the clumsy state psychology programs coming around to evaluate you, and it's never certain whether they're worried about your mental health or concerned that Thomas wasn't the only one. And even at this young age, you sense the probing nature of those questions. Well, have you ever thought about hurting someone? Have you ever hurt an animal? You ever play with fire? Those kinds of questions. And the next 2 months of your life will be swallowed up by all of this, to say nothing about the way your parents handle it. All we know for sure is that by the time 3 months have passed, they have found no culprit. The motive never materializes. And given the sign of the struggle in his room, Thomas is missing and then presumed dead. And those are the traumas that you were forced to encounter, things that no adult, no child, no human being should ever be subjected to. Those are the secrets you kept and the lies that you told and the things that you've hidden away as you split out from this town and you formed new lives with new faces and new hair. The things you've never told anybody. The things that connect the four of you in this room more than anything else. So we depart the home with the sirens and the lights fading into the evening, and the air turns chill again, and you find yourself not seated on the concrete outside the home or in the overstuffed chair of a psychiatrist's office. You're back on that wobbly, cheap furniture in an underground cafe, holding a letter from a friend you think is dead, and a picture from a time that up until now you've done a really good job of not remembering. And as those memories flood back and you begin to see this situation in a new light, now I want to know what's on your mind. Does this change anything? Whoever sent you that letter, if it's Thomas, that's dark in one way. If it's someone pretending to be Thomas, that is dark in quite another. But who else but Thomas would know about the crow's nest?
Is this some sort of prank?
As
It's
she
not
says,
funny.
as she says that, I'm hit by these waves of confusion. I had blocked most of it out. This explains so much about who I am today. And Thomas. Holy crap.
Is that why you became the person you are now? You always wanted to defend people, and then you saw that house, you saw Thomas.
I don't defend people anymore. I just hurt them.
So Michael has turned this experience into untamed rage and anger that took seed of him as an 11-year-old boy, and he's never found a way to process, because in that moment he was helpless and he hated that feeling. Gabrielle, is that why you dress the way you do? Is that why you've been the places you go? Does a life on the road protect you from having to put down the kind of roots that will leave you vulnerable like Thomas did?
It explains all of that. It explains the relationship. It explains a lot. Yeah. Because there's a feeling of helplessness that comes from seeing what we all saw. And I've never been able to come back from that. Everything that I saw climbing out of that basement, it just made you feel, I mean, I think it would have made any of us feel powerless to stop anything. If it was Thomas, you know, I thought that we did what we did, you know. We tried to be his friend. We tried to help him and be there for him. And if it was him, then we obviously didn't do a good enough job. And if it wasn't him and it was somebody else, then it didn't really matter what we did anyway. So, yeah, if I never stay in one place for very long, I don't get disappointed. I don't get let down. I don't get hurt.
Harlow, how long after this incident did the drinking start?
I would say probably maybe a year. I would have been close to 14, and I would have started running with an older, rougher crowd. And prior to that, I was already watching my parents closely to see when I could break into their liquor cabinet where they hid the keys to it. But there was an older guy, and I managed to convince him to buy me alcohol over the years, so it didn't take too long. Anything to forget. I didn't want that image to stay on my head.
Did it work?
During the day, maybe. Until now. Not so much at night.
And Ralph, you're the only one here who actually knows these facts, because you've been keeping an awfully close eye on your friend since this happened, haven't you?
Everything's on the internet. The internet has every detail I need to be safe. Which means what my friends are doing, what medications they're taking, what police accusations they have for public violence, and where their band is traveling. I had a friend once that I didn't know enough about. And I can't let that happen again.
And that's how this has defined you. Taken the relationships that existed between the five of you and twisted them into kinds of interesting ways. Harlow, it puts your quiet affection for Thomas in an entirely new light. What if he did kill that person? And Michael, the rage and the bravery is what left you here. If you'd just been able to hold your shit down and for once let yourself be the lesser man. And Gabriel, you were so brave in taking the lead, and now you have to follow because you learned your lesson from being the one who makes plans. And Ralph, privacy isn't a weakness, my friend, but you know that even as you slide someone's name into another personal ID search engine or go crawling around the dark web looking for things you shouldn't find. Now, each of those facts is reason enough for right now you to take this letter, throw it away, and go back to your lives. You've made it here because you've been able to separate yourself from this moment. That easy, you can walk away. But I don't think you're going to, and I want to know why. There's something inside of each of you that's going to try to make you convince the others that the right thing to do is follow this through. You don't have to convince me. How are you going to convince them?
The way
My
I
friend-
look at it. Oh no, please, Harlow, go first.
Our friend needs us. He needed us years ago. God,
He needed us years ago and never came to us. I told him, Harlow, to not do whatever it is. It never go without your party. And he did. So if he needs us, he should have needed us then.
He spared us. What are you talking about? First of all, the logistics make zero sense. How is a small boy by the age of 11 or 12 capable of vertically lifting and impaling a form of that size that many times? The math doesn't add up. It's physically impossible. And then, if they were going to do it, and they did it by not having us be accomplices, they saved us.
We could have stopped it.
I told him to do it. I didn't realize, but I told him, especially if somebody's bigger and larger than us, that we needed to. I meant the kids. I meant that we needed to. Fuck.
Maybe there's more ways to solve our problems than, violence. My dad thought Thomas was great. He was a great influence on me. I should have said, Dad, let's take him. Let's take him into our place. Fuck his father's parents. There was something else I could have done. Now I got all this anger inside of me, and I got no way of getting rid of it, and I push everyone away. You're scared of me. You're scared of me. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You've always been the strong one, right? Physically, at least. I'm not. I'm the one who thinks too much. I don't shut up. I invade everyone's personal privacy because I have to know, or else if I don't know, I could be in danger again. I'm weak. And right now, my brain won't stop chugging away at questions and answers, and I can't stop looking at this logically, because the minute I stop looking at it logically, I guess I just start feeling weak again, and I don't have any solutions. I just have problems. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about this logically? Do you want to talk about it passionately? Either way, this is on us. This is on our laps. Which means whoever is doing this knows who we are, what we look like, and where we live to get us in a point of contact, right? These are proven by this event. And if we say no right now, who's to say they won't continue or worse?
All I know is if we don't go to that crow's nest, nothing's gonna change. I'm just gonna go home by myself. Wait for the next day and just be pissed off about it.
Yeah. Just gonna lock myself away behind my computer and live a half-life.
Gabrielle, Harlow, it might be closure waiting for you at the crow's nest. Is that worth it?
I want to see if my childhood best friend is there. I want to see if he's still alive. I want to see if the person who hurt him and his family is there. There are so many questions I didn't know I wanted answered until now.
So you're all going then. You're just gonna be okay with this and go seeking answers.
You're not?
Gabrielle, you are the toughest bitch I know. You always were.
I was. Yeah, sure. Until that day. A lot has happened.
Well, the story isn't over yet. In the moments to come, you'll decide who drives. Crow's Nest is only 45 minutes away. The road will take you through the deep forest you used to explore as a child, and further yet still. But for now, that story's going to have to wait. This has been Queen's Court Games, the first episode of His Last Hope, a horror scenario for Kult RPG written by Magnus Sader. I've been joined tonight in the role of Michael by Zoe.
Hello and good night.
Playing Gabrielle, V.
Hello. Good night. Whew.
Playing Harlow, Krissy.
Good night.
And playing Ralph, PJ.
Good to see you. Good night.
We are going to leave this directly into a debrief. Make sure everyone's feeling okay. I encourage you to do the same. Please, it's a heavy game. Take some time to just sort yourself out. But if you want to know what happened to Thomas and how these people are going to handle it, you can find us here same time next week. Until then, goodbye from us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.